Coaches. Blow the whistle, ay. Blow the whistle, ay. Blow the whistle, they can't hold a flame against you, ay. Blow the whistle, blow the whistle, ay. Blow the whistle, got the game, it ain't no issue, yeah. Blowing the whistle, I had enough with you, the championship, it is gone. Ain't listen to you, I can't give it to you, cause you don't know what I've been on. This is the Coaches Pod.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back into the Fantasy Coaches Podcast. I am your host, as always, guys, Coach Steve. We have another amazing episode for you guys today. We are into Week 12. Man, the regular season is getting closer and closer to ending. Very sad moments, but this is the time of year where we're all really excited for at least half the league probably you're in is very excited about continuing, trying to make that playoff run. But we have 3 more weeks to go, and it all starts here in Week 12. Of course, we have Coach Tyler on the show today. What's going on, Coach Tyler?
What's up, guys? Let's get into it.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got a lot to go through. And if you're, not new to our Thursday show, well, usually it's never on Thursdays, but for this week, we're getting a nice Thursday show in here, finally. We go through every team. We break down each player. Well, we don't break down each player, but we will break down some important facts about each team, each elite, each game, and then we'll just kind of run through the players and talk about what kind of value they have for Week 12. So we're not going to waste any more of your guys' time. We're going to get right into it here, starting here off at the top. Detroit Lions versus Indianapolis Colts. That is the first game we're going to discuss this afternoon, or at least this morning here. I don't know where we are. I'm exhausted. I'm talking about morning right now, and it's like mid-afternoon in the East Coast. Oh, God. So we're going to start with the first game here, and I think the most pressing questions is what to do with the Colts wide receivers this week, Coach Tyler. I mean, Michael Pittman's been really poor lately. Josh Downs has had a decent game for Anthony Richardson, as we know Anthony Richardson is going to be the starting quarterback in this game, and Alec Pierce has been pretty good with that Richardson. But how do you feel about the Colts wide receivers this week against that Lions defense?
Yeah, the Lions defense, they've been good, but the secondary has honestly been, you've been able to find holes in there. Now, I don't know if Anthony Richardson is the type of quarterback that's going to be able to find those holes easily, but Josh Downs is honestly the only person that, like, if I'm in a lineup and I'm 50-50 projected against a guy, Josh Downs is really the only one I trust, right? We've talked about Alec Pierce a ton. He's, about as boom bust as it gets, but the booms are really fun to watch. 3 receptions for 100-something yards and some stupid long touchdown that Anthony Richardson's going to throw while he's falling down. But Pittman has really become a guy that scares me in fantasy. He's having, as down a year as you can. And he did see 8 targets this past week from Anthony Richardson. But there's just been a lack of ability to consistently get him the ball when Richardson's played, that even with a high target count, I don't trust that he's going to be able to put up double-digit fantasy numbers. So really, if you're just playing mellow, you don't need anyone to go out and drop a 25-point game, I would play Josh Downs, right? I feel comfortable playing Downs because he's been able to produce really this entire season since he's been healthy, right? We've seen a lot of double-digit fantasy weeks. The past 4 weeks, well, really all but 2 weeks since week 3 when he came in, have been double-digit fantasy weeks. And, there's some really stinkers in there, really bad stinkers for the ones that aren't. But, we look at even on 5 targets from Richardson, he caught all 5, which if you're looking at a Colts receiver, it's very rare that they have 100% catch percentage on their targets. But he turns that into 84 and a touchdown. We see, a lot of games where he's coming out and having 9-10 targets. He is the guy that's going to get open. He's the guy running out of the slot in that offense. And so Josh Downs is really, unless I'm taking a home run shot, he's the only one that I really trust in this offense.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Yeah, I mean, he's the only one that has a consistent fantasy value this season, consistent fantasy points per game. Michael Pittman, Alec Pierce is very boom or bust with them, and Michael Pittman's really bust and boom any point this season here. So I understand that completely. Going over the rest of the team real quick here. Looking at quarterbacks, Jared Goff should be a pretty good start for you this week. Colts defense has been struggling this season here. Anthony Richardson, again, there's some upside, obviously, with his rushing ability and everything like that. But like Coach Tyler said, we don't know if Anthony Richardson can take advantage of a struggling Lions defense there. The running backs are all RB1s. You should be starting Gibbs. You should start Dave Montgomery, Jonathan Taylor. All must-start options this week here for the Lions wide receivers, at least. Obviously, Amon St. Brown's a must-start. Jameson Williams, a pretty good wide receiver too this week here. Again, start your Lions at least. I mean, that's the biggest part there. Sam Laporta, even a low-end tight end 1 this week. Colts struggle against tight ends this season here, so hopefully Laporta is healthy enough to play this week. And then any Colts tight end, you don't even want to consider them in fantasy football this year. So the Colts have had such a long history of bad tight ends since who's that one guy? Dallas Clark left there, or is it Dallas Clark? I can't even think of his name. The guy whoever played with Peyton Manning back in the day. I think it's Dallas Clark.
44. Yep.
Yeah. We have a question in the chat here from Dylan. Full point PPR, 12-team boost for the playoffs. I can afford to upgrade here. Who are you buying or selling? He's got Daniels, Herbert, Walker, Dobbins, Jacobs, Chase, Garrett Wilson, Terry, Hopkins, Dell, Downs, Henry, Taysom Hill, Ferguson. Who you selling? Who you buying? Real quick here.
If you can sell Taysom Hill for the price that his last week put him up at, sell him.
Yeah.
But yeah, Taysom Hill, I'd honestly be good with selling like a Terry or a Hopkins to add a little bit to that running back room. You've got just the bulk of receivers and 3 running backs going into playoffs. You want to be prepared for any and all situations, and that includes, especially with some very injury-prone guys in that running back room, being prepared for injuries. So if you're making that boost for the playoffs, if your trade deadline is this week or coming up, I would really try and take one of those mid-tier receivers that you got and turn it into a running back just to kind of even out the strength of your team.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really see too many moves you can make that it'd be great for you to make. Like maybe upgrade at tight end, maybe. I mean, Hunter Henry is fine, but if you do keep Taysom Hill, that's not too bad of an option for sure. But no, I think your team's pretty good overall. I like the whole dynamic of your team. I don't think you need to do too much, if anything. It's a pretty solid trade, I think, personally. We have a lot of questions tonight. Question in the chat here: trade away Pickens for James Cook PPR. He's got Jacobs and Chase Brown and Najee as his top 3 running backs.
So that's Jamar, Pickens, Ladd, and Marv. Yeah, I think I'd rather have Pickens in that situation just for the sake of receivers.
He's averaging like 18 fantasy points a game right now. Like I don't see a reason to go away from that personally. I would still want to hold on to him. He's been playing really well with Russ. I don't think James Cook has been doing. Yeah, he's got the 2 touchdowns last week, but the inefficiency last week was poor. I think I'd rather hold Pickens there, especially in PPR. Mm-hmm. Hello, Albert. How are you? We have a question in the chat from Cameron. I'm assuming this is more for starting sits for this week here. Do you play Chubb tonight, or you wait out for Jalen Warren, or do you wait out for Enrico Darling this weekend?
Might
be a snow game tonight.
Yeah, we got Chubb and Warren tonight. Who the Cowboys play the Giants?
They play the Redskins, who have a bad run defense. I like Rico. I think he's just going to get the bulk of those carries. I know last week was not a good week for him, but not on prime time. They get off the screen. I think Rico kind of has more of a bounce back game.
Yeah, I like Rico. He's getting a lot of the receiving work out of the backfield. So if anything, if this is a PPR league, at least half PPR, then you're getting points off those receptions, and maybe he can return back to a little bit more efficiency.
Yeah. Yeah, and Chubb will need to score a touchdown to be, I think, successful. So in fantasy this week, but I'm really concerned that he doesn't get there, unfortunately. Question in the chat from Sam: trade Sutton and Rashad White, get Higgins and Brooks. He's got Sutton, Rashad, and Tracy are my flex play spot for me.
I don't know that I'd do that just because we don't know what Brooks' snap share is going to be yet. because I mean he's supposed to just make his debut this week, and I feel like we kind of know what Rashad's getting. It's not
it's the PPR value. I mean, he's getting 4 receptions a game at least. I mean, is Brooks ever gonna? I mean, with Chuba Hubbard signing, like I don't really see Brooks seeing 15 plus carries a game or seeing a high carry share. Honestly, like I think I'd rather hold on to Sutton and Rashad here. I know the Higgins thing after a big blow up week. I mean, I get it. I mean, Sam, if you could, is that those 3 players, are they 3 flex spots, or are they just 3 players that you have in your flex spot? Because that would make my decision maybe change a little bit. Let us know, Sam, if those are 3 separate flex spots, or is it just one flex spot that you have those 3 players rotating through? Let me know.
We'll if it's the one, I think I'm with you. I'd be kind of down to trade that and
have Higgins in the flex or whatever. Yeah. Higgins and Tracy, yeah. If it's one flex spot, I'd rather have Higgins probably that upside. If it's 3 flex spots, I think I'd still rather hold on to Sutton and White. Let's say that.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Back to the games here. Next game on the slate here. Oh, why didn't I do it? Oh, there we go. New England Patriots versus the Miami Dolphins here. Question is for this game here this week here. Trying to think. Who's a better tight end to play for yourself? Hunter Henry or Jonnu Smith? That could be a question for a lot of people.
Yeah, I've really kind of been talking up Johnny the past couple weeks. I just feel like Hunter Henry's getting more targets and they're a little bit more high value because they're not coming in terms of not being to Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle as much as they are. Hunter Henry is really one of the main playmakers in that offense. But, if we look back at the past 5 weeks, we've got 9, 6, 8, 4, and 9 in terms of targets. And so if you can tell me he's going to average over 7 targets for the game, if you tell me he's going to have over 7 targets for the game, I'm perfectly happy with that. And he's putting up, low end tight end 1, kind of mid-tier tight end 2 numbers without a touchdown, right? He's got 1 touchdown on the season. And outside of that, we've still seen 3 tight end 1 weeks out of the last 5. And so I'm happy with that for the sake of he's getting the targets. And then, if he falls into the end zone, that just only increases what he's been able to do.
Of course. Yeah, absolutely. No, I like that play there. Sam did say 1 flex spot. So, yeah, go get Higgins.
Yeah, I like Higgins because that's if Brooks becomes something for the end of the season, then you have him there ready to blow up, but he's not a necessity like it would be.
Right. You have between, I think he said he had Tracy. So Tracy and Higgins rotating in your flex rest of the year is a pretty good thing to have anyway. So,
yeah.
All right. So the rest of the players here, obviously the quarterbacks, they're both high-end QBs, Drake May, Tua, I think they both have high upside. Both secondaries have been pretty good lately. So there might be some issues with them a little bit, having like an elite fantasy week for sure. You're looking at running backs, Ramondre Stevenson's a high RB2. Miami's run defense has gotten a little bit better, but still a pretty weak run defense overall. Devon Achane's a high-end RB1. Mostert and Jalen Wright probably not starting, but because it is a mega bye week here, those guys are in the conversation there as desperate plays. I probably like Wright a little bit more just because he's seeing more work in the offense there, but probably don't want to start either one. Tyreek Hill for me is back into a wide receiver 1 role. Maybe a mid wide receiver 1 is a little rich, maybe, but at least a low end wide receiver 1 should be pretty happy with Tyreek Hill kind of getting back to that. I'm not worried about Christian Gonzalez, Jalen Waddle. I'm not able to talk tonight, guys. Jalen Waddle, low end wide receiver 3 flex. I'm hoping that there's a bounce back this week, but I'm not thrilled to start him. He's not one of those guys I want to go after. Demario Douglas, Keyshawn Boutte, Kendrick Bourne, like those they're all wide receiver 4s and worse. Like I don't trust them as wide receivers this week. Demario Douglas is going to get you 5 for 50, and that's about it. So with his game there for fantasy. So all right, over to the next game here. I actually will be going to this game this weekend. Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the New York Giants here. Question of the game here. Question of the game. Would you rather start Malik Neighbors or Mike Evans this week?
I I want to go Malik, just because it's Mike's first game back off of the hamstring, but also Malik has his own injury and the fact that Tommy DeVito is going to be throwing him the ball, and that might be worse than a hamstring. I feel like I got to go Evans. I feel like they wouldn't be throwing him out there if they didn't need him. He's, logging full practices this week. He's healthy. He's off his IR stint. And so I got to go Evans for the sake that he has an actual quarterback throwing him the ball. I wouldn't be surprised if this is one of those games that Malik Neighbors walks out with 20 targets. I don't know how many of those 20 are going to be receptions, but I wouldn't be if there's a line somewhere for you to take 20 plus targets for Malik Neighbors, this might be the game to sprinkle some on there. But yeah, I gotta take Evans there.
I like it. I think both are good wide receivers to start this week in general. We have some more questions in the chat here. So give me 1 second, guys, and I will get to them. Quarterbacks, Baker Mayfield's nice QB1. Tommy DeVito is more of like a sleeper QB2, super flex kind of quarterback. Rashard White, Bucky Irving, great running backs to start. Good RB2s this week. I got Jerome Tracy as a low-end RB1 this week. I think he's going to be in for a really good day here because they're going to probably run the ball a little bit more. With DeVito in that lineup there, Singletary's a desperate RB4. Kate Don's still tight end 1. I do want to see with him and Mike Evans on the field how that goes. I am a little curious and if he's going to continue to have this high target share. Theo Johnson's kind of a deep sleeper, tight end 2. Wando Robinson's a flex. Darius Slayton's a desperate flex. Jalen McMillan and Sterling Shepard are deep league desperate flexes, wide receiver 5s. Not thrilled with either one of those two with Mike Evans back on the field now, but it might actually help with Mike Evans on the field that those guys aren't seeing the number 1 coverage against the defense there. So that they might end up having better games than I'm projecting to. All right, so we got a question in chat from Mateo. Should I trade Ladd and Tracy for Mike Evans?
Got both St. Brown and AJ Brown.
No.
No, Ladd's been doing. I feel like Ladd's been doing too good to trade him, especially with how he's kind of breaking out and stepping into his own. I feel like you got to keep Ladd and Tracy here.
Yeah, because Mike Evans wasn't even doing all that great before he got hurt. He was doing okay. I mean, and yeah, no Chris Godwin now. You would assume higher target share, but still, I mean, I think Ladd is finally getting his own. Tracy's been a workhorse running back, seeing 15 plus touches every week. I don't like. I'd rather start, like Ladd most weeks right now because I think the Chargers have a really good rest of the season schedule too. So I think the Bucs do too. But I think I'd rather have those two, unless you're tired of having to deal with who to start every week and you want to consolidate, I guess. But I think I'd rather still have those two play matchup advantage in the playoffs. That's what I would look for. He said he wanted to give him Coleman instead of Ladd. I mean, yeah, I would do Coleman. Yeah, Coleman and Tracy. Sure, yeah, that's a much better option, but not Ladd right now. Ladd's just playing too well. The value, you're giving up too much value. Chat, and another question in the chat from Steven. Choose 4: Cedric Tillman, Jameson Williams, Rashad White, Bucky Irvin, Rico, or Javonte Williams.
Gosh, that's a lot of 4. Okay. JMO 1.
Jameson. The Bucks.
Cedric?
Who?
Cedric Tillman?
I think I'd wait and see what we have left first.
Yeah.
I personally, how I see. I see Jameson and both the Bucks running backs. That's where I'm at the moment.
Yeah, I guess you can't get vultured that way. And then I feel like you got to throw Cedric in there. I feel like
take that risk, take that boom or bust risk.
Yeah, boom or bust risk. It's J-Bo on it's J-Bo on prime time. Like I put faith in him. Just
all right. If you want, I'll accept that. I mean, if anything, I probably would have took the shot with Javonte and hope that he can just destroy the Raiders' run defense. But I'm okay with Cedric Tillman. So Cedric Tillman, Jameson Williams, and both the Bucks running backs this week here, Steve. All right, we're done with this game here. Here we go. Mateo said, "No, I agree with y'all. The schedule is just wise. Jalen Hurts can't throw a perfect ball to AJ Brown. That's true that he cannot do that, but he still gets him enough points, so I'm okay with that." All right, over to the next game here. Oh, Dallas Cowboys and the Washington Commanders here. Yeah. Oh, where am I going with this game here? I don't even really know. How confident are you starting Jaden Daniels right now in fantasy? I know that he's been a stud in fantasy this season, but if I can get my stat up real quick here, he has only been averaging 17 fantasy points per game over the last 4 weeks now.
Yeah, I think this could be the get right game for him if he's going to have one. He just hasn't been really running the ball like he needs to. He's not finding the end zone on the ground, which is where a good amount of that fantasy production, 4 touchdowns over 4 weeks to begin the season. This has got to be the get back game. I feel comfortable starting him unless I have a higher tier option.
Well, let's say Justin Herbert.
And that's who do we say? Chargers are against
the Ravens this week.
Yeah, I feel like I gotta take Daniels matchup wise. I like him going up against the Cowboys defense more.
That's fair. Okay. I just wanted to I want to gauge somebody who I have really high this week. So okay. Gotcha on that. All right. Speaking about the rest of the team here, Cooper Rush, QB3, not really trusting him at all. Running back wise, Brian Robinson Jr. is a good RB2 this week. Austin Eckler's an RB3 flex. Rico Dowling's RB3 flex. CeeDee Lamb is good enough to still be a low end wide receiver 1. A lot of targets. Jalen Tolbert, he's been not doing well without Dak on the field now. Terry McLaurin, I think he does bounce back this week here. The big week, he does very well against the Cowboys at times. Noah Brown's a desperate wide receiver 4 flex play. Jay Ferguson might not play, so keep that in mind. It might be Luke Schoonmaker. So if you're looking for a sleeper tight end, Luke Schoonmaker might have some value, especially those who play in Dynasty. And Zach Ertz is a solid high-end tight end too. Schoonmaker, fantasy dog. Like I said, he's a sleeper option this week here. I just didn't put him on the dock, unfortunately, but he's definitely has some kind of like mid tight end 2 value that could be considered a sleeper appeal to a team that might need a tight end this week for fantasy. And thank you for the subscription. You didn't. That's no big deal. We appreciate it. Thank you for the format. Thank you for the love on the format. Love it. Before we move on, we have another question in the chat from Jonathan here. Start 2, Ladd McConkey, Tillman, McLaurin, Jennings, Ridley. Oh, God, that's a lot of great players.
Yeah.
Play. My first initial is McLaurin and Jennings.
That's where I was at too. I like that a lot.
Yeah, I mean, McConkey is interesting though, but I just can't see myself sitting McLaurin or Jennings. So,
yeah, I'm at McLaurin or Jennings. The only person I would possibly trade out in that is McConkey for Jennings.
Yeah, if Brock Purdy doesn't play, go Ladd McConkey. If Brock plays, stick with Jennings. I know there's a press conference about him right now about his situation, but if he doesn't play, then I'll probably switch to Ladd. That's how I see it. Let's see what else here. Oh, Sam said he just said the Higgins trade. Let's go, Sam. Let's go. Congratulations. Best of luck. All right, over to the next team grouping here. Oh, there we go. Did I go through them? Hold on. Oh, I got to go back. Oh, hold on. Oh, I went way too far back, guys. Now you can see all my stuff, guys. Let's see here. I did miss a few. Okay, missed one here. Hold on. I feel like I missed one. All right, let's go back here. There we go. I was like, I thought we didn't do the Minnesota Vikings group here. Here we go. Before we get to that, unknown cat came in. Should I still play Pickens and Njoku tonight due to the weather?
Let me
I
get
still like Njoku.
Is it in?
It's in Cleveland.
It's in Cleveland.
The weather is supposed to be potential rain and snow mixed.
I
still like Njoku just because tight ends are, was still fine. I mean, I think he's just going to still see short targets and be able to work with that. Pickens, let us know who else you have. Let us know.
Yeah.
I think it could determine, depending on who you have, if you should avoid Pickens or not this week. I still like him, but let us know who else you have. All right, let's get back to this Vikings-Chicago Bears game here. Question of the game here. Ooh, which Bears do you start?
Which Bears
Which
as a
Bears
whole?
wide receiver do you start? There we go. So how about that? Which Bears wide receiver are you trusting the most this week?
Which one am I trusting the most?
Yes. It might be low, but you have to trust somebody.
Yeah. Do you though?
Well, I guess you don't have to.
Yeah. I feel like it's got to be DJ Moore if I'm choosing anybody.
That's fine.
Just kind of as the talent coming out of there. I don't know how much I trust him over the other options that you hopefully have on your team with DJ Moore. But if I'm picking a Bears wide receiver to trust and put faith in, I got to go DJ Moore here.
That's fair. That's fair. That's fair. Yeah, I think I'd probably still trust DJ Moore. Probably wasn't the best question, but I can't think of a really good question for this. I mean, the quarterbacks, like Sam's a solid high-end QB2. Caleb, you don't really want to trust the low-end QB2. Aaron Jones is a high-end RB2. DeAndre Swift's a mid RB2. Just watch out for DeAndre Swift. He may not play this week. I know he's dealing with some injuries. Roshan Johnson would then be someone you should pick up now if you can, if he's still out there, just to hold him and see what happens. The tight ends, like Hawkinson, like he's a fine mid tight end 1. Like I'm not thrilled with him this week. I think the matchup isn't that great. Cole Kmet's averaging 3 fantasy points per game over the last 4 weeks. Obviously, you start Jefferson, Jordan Essence, a desperate wide receiver 4, 3 wide receiver league flex. Like I said, and all the Bears wide receivers, they're like flex at best plays, unfortunately, in fantasy right now. It's not a great time to own a Bears. And I thought I have him in a couple of places. And I was like, oh man, this is gonna be a good season. It was like for 4, it was like, man, I don't know who I'm going to want to start because they're all going to go off in different weeks. Now it's like, I don't want to start any of them because none of them are going to go off in any week. So, all right. So we have some more things in the chat here. I love the chat so busy today. I love this. Trade away Gibbs, Jacobs, Dell for Saquon, Wilson, and Amari. Yeah, I don't. Oh yeah, absolutely. His wide receivers are Lamb, Jefferson, and Higgins.
Oh, yes. I didn't even get to wide receivers yet. I was still mulling over the RBs.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, hold on here. So he's got A-Chain, Tracy, and Gibbs. He's giving up 2 RBs. He's getting Saquon. He's going to add in Wilson and Amari. So he's adding 5 wide receivers to 4 running backs and flipping it the other way, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
You're losing your depth at running back. I like Tracy's as a third RB, so it's like not fine. Yeah. It's fine.
And Saquon and A-Chain are both liable to go off for 25 points in a game.
Yeah. I'm fine with it. I think I would rather see if you could get another running back instead of Amari Cooper, because you don't really need Amari Cooper. Because like, what week are you starting Amari Cooper the rest of the season? Like, if you could just get another running back instead of Cooper. I mean, maybe if it's dynasty, maybe okay. I understand why you're doing what you're doing, but like if it's like a redraft league, if you're looking to just get another, I don't think you need Amari Cooper.
I would just honestly, if it's not a dynasty league, I honestly might be more okay trying to trade Garrett Wilson out for a higher tier running back than you'd get for Amari. Just, all the mullings of the Jets benching Aaron.
Well, I would just, you're talking about like trading after the trade, then trade Garrett Wilson?
No, like how you're saying put a running back in there in place of Amari. I think you could possibly get a more valuable running back.
Well, I think unless this guy has another Saquon or another player on his team, I feel like the guy doesn't have a lot of running backs. That's why he's trading Saquon, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
You're getting 2 running backs for the price of 1, so there must be a reason why he wants to get Gibbs and Jacob. So I'm fine with the trade. Again, I'd look for another running back off that guy's team instead of Amari just to have depth. But I think it's a fine trade. I like Saquon and A-Chain as the top RBs. Get Wilson and T. Higgins were, rotate as a flex option each and every week depending on the matchup. I'm fine with it.
Yeah, I'm good with it.
Yeah. Unknown Caveman has Evans and Josh Downs on his bench. So that's a good question here. Do you go Pickens or Mike Evans?
I go Evans.
I think I would take Evans too. I think I would go safe approach and take Evans. If you need a big swing and you want to take a massive risk this week, then go Pickens. But I think I'd rather just play it safe with Mike Evans and expect him to get 5 for 70 this week here and have a solid week where I think Pickens could go off just because the Brown secondaries hasn't been good. But again, in the same spot, I don't really want to trust Pickens in a bad weather game.
With that Russell Wilson moonball. I don't know if it works with the wind.
Yeah, and I heard it's gonna be high wind tonight. So like, yeah, Pickens just scares me. Thursday Night Football. It just, you know what? I don't like taking risks, caveman, and I'd rather just play Evans, who's got a solid matchup. So, all right. Izzy's got a question. I have so many wide receivers I could play this week, but I have no idea who I should start, guys. Mike Evans, Neighbors, Puka, Pickens, Zay Flowers, DK, Terry McLaurin. Start 3. Oof. You have a lot of wide receivers.
I would love to see what your running back room looks like.
Yeah. Can we agree on Puka?
Yeah, definitely Puka.
McLaurin?
McLaurin. I like McLaurin against Dallas.
Ugh.
I kind of want to throw DK there.
DK, I like DK too. I think that's going to be a really good game here.
Against the Cardinals secondary.
Yeah, I like that. So Puka, DK, and Terry. Maybe Neighbors over McLaurin. Ooh. Definitely not Zay. Definitely not Pickens. And definitely not. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Oof. I'm going to go with my gut and say Puka, DK, and McLaurin. That's how I see it.
That's where I'm at.
That's tough. That was a tough one, Izzy. But I appreciate the question, though, as always. All right. We finished this game here. Let's go to the next games here. I got to go a couple of rounds here. Here we go. There we go. Oh, that's not right at all. But it's just classic me getting the teams' names wrong. So it's the Kansas City Chiefs, guys, and the Carolina Panthers, not the Denver Broncos. All right, here. Question of this game here. Oof. Where do you do with the running backs? Which running back? What do you do with the 4-3 run? Let's say, what do you do with Hunt, Pacheco, and Hubbard? That's going to be a tough question this week, especially if Pacheco plays.
Yeah. If Pacheco plays, I feel like he's got to be good to go. Like, obviously, it's against Carolina, who's got a less than ideal or less than good defense. He's been limited in practice this week, as they say he's eyeing a return this week. If Pacheco plays, I feel like you got to play him. But I really kind of lean Hunt no matter what.
Okay.
Like, even if Pacheco plays, I want to believe he's 100% and they're just going to give him everything that he had. But at the same time, that's rarely the case. And so I kind of want to go Kareem Hunt all the way, just in case.
That's fair. Yeah, I think Kareem Hunt's still the best start this week among these 3 running backs. And I'm talking about Hunt, Pacheco, and Chuba. I think I'd still want to trust Hunt the most. Like, you don't why throw Pacheco out there for 15 plus carries in his first game? Like, you don't need to do that to him. You can get him kind of getting back into the motions before you lay a big workload on him. It would make no sense to do that with Kareem Hunt running decently and has a great matchup this week. Quarterbacks, Mahomes QB1, Bryce Young is a low-end QB2. I'm kind of intrigued by Bryce Young this week. I want to see what he's able to do against this Chiefs defense. Wide receivers, I don't really want to start any wide receivers in this game. Hopkins, Worthy, Juju Smith-Schuster. Carolina, they show as a team that's done really good against wide receivers, but it's because they are bad against the run and they're really bad against tight ends. So like Noah Gray, Travis Kelce for me is a high-end tight end 1 this week. Noah Gray, I think, could be a really good play if you're in a deeper man league at tight end. You need a tight end this week. Like, I think the wide receivers I'm sticking away from, like Hopkins is a flex at best. Worthy's a wide receiver 5 for me. Juju's a sit. The other side of Carolina, looking at Xavier Legette, Jalen Coker, Adam Thielen, like they're all flex plays, low-end wide receiver 5 plays. Like, I'm not really trusting them. And then for the Panthers tight end, Jatavian Sanders, like he's the only one I'm okay as a potential sleeper this week for that wide receiver, for that pass core, just because the Chiefs have been so bad against tight ends as well this year. Sanders has been really good. He's had moments where he's hitting like 5 receptions for 50 yards in a lot of weeks up before their bye week. So he's someone who's also really interesting if you're looking for a tight end in like a normal 10 to 12 man format this week. All right. So let's see if I can get the next game here. And it's actually the right names. All right. This is you here. Coach Tyler. Tennessee Titans versus Houston Texans here. Oh, play of the game here. Yuck. I don't know. Do you start CJ Stroud this week in a 1 QB league? That's a big question. Is he still a start? Even people might have been playing him all season just because it's CJ Stroud, but I mean, yeah. I mean, he's averaging 12 fantasy points per game over the last 4 weeks, man.
I want to say.
Don't you say yes.
I want to say no based on everything that he's done in fantasy this year.
But
the Titans, I think, we saw Nico Collins come back last week, and if you look at box score, he had an all right game. First game back from 5-week hamstring injury. It's not bad. People miss, if you didn't watch the game, the first play was a screen play that went 75 yards for a touchdown from CJ Stroud to Nico Collins. They got called back because of it wasn't very questionable, but I don't think it should have been called, illegal man downfield penalty. And so, you take out, if we're talking about Stroud, that's 7 points in your average 4 point per touchdown league. So, we add 7 points and he's still at 18. So you're not, outstandingly excited for that. But I think this is one of those games where Tennessee is going to try and slow down Joe Mixon, especially coming off a 3 touchdown performance that he's had. And there haven't been a ton of teams that have been able to slow him down. And the Titans of anyone want to be the ones to make the Texans look dumb. And so I think they're going to focus on taking down Mixon. And in that's going to open up the passing game for Stroud. So I'm like a 75% sit him, and the 25% that I'm going to let be a Houston fan at this moment.
Oh, God.
Is that this is the comeback week for him.
As a non-Houston fan, he's a sit for me.
Yeah.
So Will Levis is a QB2 player. Like I like Will Levis's upside more than CJ Stroud's this week, personally. That's how I feel about it. But both are just mid QB2s. Joe Mixon's obviously a high-end RB1. Tony Pollard, not a big fan. RB3 flex play at best. Tajay Spears has a concussion. He might not even play this week. Calvin Ridley, low-end wide receiver 2. Nick Westbrook-Akine, desperate wide receiver 5. Nico Collins, still for me, is a wide receiver 1. Even sitting CJ Stroud for me personally, I still love Nico Collins' upside. Tank Dell's a flex play. You don't really want to start the tight ends here. Chico Conquer, Dalton Schultz, both have been really disappointing for fantasy this year. Both like tight end 2s at best. So, all right, next game here. Now in the afternoon games. Now at the real Denver Broncos and the Las Vegas Raiders here. Question of this game here. Where do I go with the question of the game here? How trustworthy is Javonte Williams for you this week?
I don't really trust Javonte. Last week we saw a little better performance out of him. Audric Estime was breathing down his neck a couple weeks ago. He only got the 1 rush. And last week, definitely in fantasy helped boost him with the touchdown. But we still saw 9 carries. So out of the backfield, we're not seeing a ton of rushing. But he did see the 5 targets, and in fantasy for your PPR leagues, if he's going out there and getting 5 targets, you're not going to be upset about that. And so I still don't really trust this Denver backfield as a whole, just because it changes week to week. But I could see a world where Javonte has another, RB1 week this week if he has somewhat the same production he did last week.
That's fair. Going over to starting with the quarterbacks, Bo Nix is a QB1, been fantastic as of lately. Rushing ability there gives him that upside. Gardner Minshew, I have him as a QB3 this week. I think it's going to be a really bad week for Denver. We already talked about the running backs with Denver, but Alexander Madison's a mid RB3, not really trusting his situation there. I don't know if Zamir White's going to get some more involvement. He might not even play, to be honest here. So, let's see here. I mean, wide receiver wise, Cortland Sutton's a mid wide receiver too. You have those guys like Little Jordan Humphrey, Devon Veal, Troy Franklin. Like those guys are like dart throws, wide receiver fives. If you're looking for someone and it's a mega bye week, one of those guys might go off. Veal has been the most consistent in terms of reception. So in PPR leagues, he might be have some value to do. Jacoby Myers is likely going to get shadowed by Patrick Surtain for a lot of this game here. I have him as a flex at best kind of play. Trey Tucker, I don't really trust. Tight end wise, like Adam Trotman, bad. Don't trust that situation here. Even though it's a good matchup for the tight ends, I just don't trust Adam Trotman or Luke Kroll, one of those guys I don't trust it. Brock Bowers still tight end one. He's the only one that's going to be able to see production in that offense there. So, yeah. RBs are thin. Plus this week seek back, you got to start Javonte. That's fair. That's fair. I understand. That. That makes a lot of sense. You might be forced to. Hopefully he can continue to produce, and it's not going to be an Audric Estime week again for fantasy. So next game here, San Francisco 49ers and the Green Bay Packers here. Oh, question of the game. Which wide receiver are you trusting the most for the Packers?
It's got to be Jaden Reed.
All right.
It's been Jaden Reed's really kind of the one that comes out on top the most. We've seen some really bad weeks this season from him. But I just feel like if I got to put my money on someone, it's going to be Jaden Reed.
That's fair. All right. It's very fair. You finished that analysis before I even finished the title. So I like that. Yeah, I mean, I'll stick with that real quick. We'll talk about that. I mean, you have to assume that Jaden Reed is going to continue to see the work, and the 49ers have been lenient to slot wide receivers. You've seen it over the last few weeks here. Jaden Reed obviously plays a high percentage of slot snaps here. This would be the kind of bounce back week we've been all looking for Jaden Reed this week. Expect this to be a high scoring game as long as Brock Purdy's playing. So Jaden Reed should hopefully give you actual real wide receiver 2 numbers after kind of being more of a flex play at best the last few weeks of fantasy. He's supposed to hopefully kind of bounce back into more of that tier that you really like for fantasy. So quarterbacks, both the low-end QB1s, as long as they're both healthy on the field and playing, they're both low-end QB1s. RBs, CMC's RB1. Josh Jacobs has been so good lately. He's as an RB1. Tight ends, Kittle's obviously still high in tight end 1. He's playing this week. He said he's already playing. Tucker Kraft is high end tight end 2. Not a big fan of him this week here. He's just fine, especially when all the wide receivers are healthy. There's definitely less targets to go around. For the 49ers wide receivers, you're looking at Debo and Juwan Jennings as wide receiver 2s. Ricky Pearsall. I just feel like he's going to be more of a boom or bust wide receiver 5 than a weekly play. We already talked about Reed. Christian Watson, I like him as a flex. Romeo Dobbs is more of a desperate wide receiver 4. Dontavian Wicks has been averaging, I think it's 1 fantasy point per game over the last 4 weeks. So you kind of know how his fantasy life is kind of going here. So let's see. Hold on. Do you guys remember that one meaningless snap Jordan Love had with Rodgers? I sure don't, but it's a good reminder. He said it was a 5-yard delay cross to Watson, 66-yard touchdown scamper. Well, Christian Watson, when he's on the field and healthy, he is good to go. That's the good thing about Christian Watson, but it's just involving him being on the field a lot more. All right, 3 more games here. Arizona Cardinals, Seattle Seahawks here. Ooh, where do we go here? Marvin Harrison Jr. Coach Tyler, how do you feel about Harrison this week? Coming off a bye.
I feel like coming off a bye, he should be having one of his better games. Seattle secondary isn't an easy one, but Harrison has the talent. It's just been the lack of ability to get him the ball that's really affected him in fantasy. And I think the Cardinals have begun to figure out when they get their best playmaker the ball, their offense usually does pretty good in games. And so I think that coming out of the bye, this is really the time that teams are able to scheme things up and they're able to look forward for the rest of the season and say, hey, first 10 weeks, here's what's worked, here's what hasn't. Obviously don't force it to him, but there's been a lot of times this season where he's been standing wide open, and he's been able to in the middle of the field, and Kyler Murray just looks the other way. And there's times that the coaching staff needs to look at him and say, hey, you might be able to scamper for 5 yards, or you could throw the ball to the top 5 receiver that we just drafted you, and you can get 25 yards. One of those sounds a little bit better than the other. Right. And so I think that coming out of the bye, this should be one of Harrison's better weeks. His schedule coming through the back end of the season is honestly kind of nice going through playoffs. And hopefully we see this week a change begin in this Cardinals offense where, at the beginning of the season, Kyler was saying it wasn't his job to get Marvin Harrison the ball. Yes, it is. Do your job.
No, I'm really torn on Harrison this week because I have JSN on my bench, and I'm just like, which direction do I go in? And that's been something that's going to probably drive me all the way up through game time on Sunday there, because I like what JSN's been doing. He's been on fire. It's like, how do you not start him this week here? And then Harrison has been kind of just quiet up coming to his bye here, and now you're supposed to trust him after a bye week. It's really tough. Like, I'm probably going to make a bad switch at the end and go JSN and hope that is what's going to save my fantasy day, because I really desperately need a win this week here. But again, both good wide receiver 2 options here. DK is a wide receiver 1. We love the DK this week. Lockett's more of a desperate 4. Michael Wilson's a boomer bust wide receiver 5. Quarterbacks, they're both low, both QB1s, Kyler Murray, Geno Smith. This should be a really good week for the passing games. And both those quarterbacks should end up having really good weeks. Actually, we have a lot of people that, I have them ranked really high, like this whole game. I think this is going to be a really high scoring game here. Like James Conner, Ken Walker, both RB1s. Like, I like Benson over Charbonnet this week here in terms of backup running backs. Trey McBride's a high-end tight end 1. AJ Barner might start for Noah Fant if Noah Fant's out again. But, I'm not thrilled about his situation there. So that might be the only starting option that might not be worth playing whatsoever among all of these positions today. So, all right, over to the Sunday night football game. Eagles, Rams. Oh, man. Which direction do I go here? All right, how about this, Coach Tyler? Rank the 4 wide receivers in order for this week for your own benefit.
The 4, so just all but DeMarcus?
Of course, yeah. And DeMarcus is 5th. We knew that.
Yeah. Puka, AJ, Cups, or Puka, AJ, Cup, Smith.
Okay.
Yeah, Puka, AJ, Cup, Smith.
Puka, AJ, Cup, and Smith. All right. I'm pretty. I think I still have AJ Brown higher. And then I think I have it Brown, Cup, Puka, and then Smith, I think, on my rankings currently right now. But those wide receivers for the Rams can interchange. They're both high-end players this week. This should be hopefully a good game. I know the Eagles have been so good in their secondary in the last few weeks, last month and a half, I think. But if you look at the matchup they play, they really haven't played elite fantasy wide receivers outside of really the Bengals game for the most part here. I really do believe these Rams wide receivers will be able to stay highly productive for fantasy. And if not, then the Eagles, I think for me at this point, would be really a real secondary that you don't want to play anyone against. So quarterbacks, Jalen Hurts, QB1, Matthew Stafford's mid QB2, Saquon's a higher end RB1. Kerryon Williams, I'm a little concerned with him. Just the Eagles have been so good against the run, and he hasn't scored a touchdown in a while. And I think this could be a game where it's going to be focused on the passing game for the Rams. And I think Williams might get kind of left in the dust. I think he's still high end RB2, but a little concerned. Goddard, low end tight end 1. Kobe Parkinson, Davies, Allen Davis, even though I said his name backwards. Low end tight end 2. Is not really thrilled about those. And we mentioned DeMarcus Robinson, but he's just a boomer bust guy. Again, this could be a boom week for him. Watch. All right, Monday Night Football. And this hopefully is both the primetime games are really good, but hopefully this is a really good primetime game here. Ravens Chargers here. Let me look at who should we go after in this matchup here. Here we go. Lad McConkey or Zay Flowers this week, Coach Tyler.
Ooh.
Or tell me who ends up being the best pass catcher of the weekend.
See, I feel like that's still even hard because there's a chance that
Will the tight ends in there, throw in the wide receivers. Who is the best pass catcher by the end of the Monday Night Football?
Well, if the Chargers play up to the Ravens, long shot would be Justice Hill. But I'm gonna have to go McConkey here.
Okay.
He's just been showing up, 200-yard games over the past 2 weeks. I put him over Zay, and I don't want to even try and predict what the Ravens are going to do. Disley, I don't think he beats it out fantasy-wise unless he has multiple touchdowns. So I got to go Ladd, but long shot, go to DraftKings, FanDuel, whatever. Go sprinkle a couple bucks on Justice Hill leading receiver in this game.
Oh God, that'd be crazy. Yeah. So this matchup,
then send the money over to us, just in case.
That'd be nice, right? All right. Quarterbacks, obviously, both guys for me are high in QB1s. I think this is going to be a shootout matchup. Henry's at RB1. Justice Hill is a flex RB3. J.K. Dobbins is more of an RB2. Hopefully, there's some passing volume for him because that's what I think will make his fantasy day. Gus Edwards is an RB4. We already said Ladd McConkey's the best wide receiver. Zay Flowers is still mid wide receiver 2. Quentin Johnson's a flex. Rashad Bateman's a desperate flex. Joshua Palmer's a boom or bust flex. Tight ends, I'm a big fan of Will Disley this week still. I really think his involvement in the offense is real. Mark Andrews, I'm a little more concerned, especially with Isaiah likely back on the field. I think they're both tight end 2s for me this week here. That's a good question. That's a good one. Justice Hill in concussion protocol per UD. So interesting to know that. So keep that in mind. Watch that throughout the week here. It could be Keontae Mitchell finally making an appearance in fantasy. So, that could be. I don't think I'd start him at all in any format for the most part, unless you were desperate at RB, like truly desperate. But I'd love to see I'd love to see him get on the field finally. Last but not least, final question of the night, guys. If Swift is out, do I conditionally start Chubb tonight, or do I start Roschon? Like Chubb or Swift in general.
Chubb or Swift? I kind of want to go.
You had those guys. Like, who are you starting?
If I have them, I honestly kind of want to put Chubb above Swift just because of the weather tonight. I feel like this is a game that's made for Nick Chubb to go out and score some fantasy points. But I go Chubb over Roschon.
That's the question. Yeah, that's like the big thing. Do you take the shot with Chubb tonight, or do you wait out and hope that Swift plays? And if not, does he go Roschon?
I'd say from a football guy perspective, go Nick Chubb.
Okay.
It's a rainy, cold game. AFC North on, if you want to call Thursday night primetime, on primetime TV. Like, these are the games that Nick Chubb was made for.
That's fair.
So
I'm probably not, but
football guy analysis, go Chubb. Statistically, I feel like I'd go Swift. But again, you take the risk that it is full Roschon.
I mean, I'm okay with full Roschon personally. I feel like the new OC for the Bears, like, they really emphasize the run. So I'm really hoping that if Swift is out, then that means Roschon does get a big workload. I'm saying Roschon. Coach Tyler saying Nick Chubb. Fortunately, we're torn on this decision here. We
agreed on everything else tonight. I feel like we had to have one before the end of the show.
Yeah, I mean, Chubb's fine. He should be fine. Yeah, he said I can just sub in Roschon. That's what I'm saying. Like, if Roschon should be fine still. Like, they're both fine plays at that point.
Roschon's not a bad running back by any standard.
Yeah, so I would say wait and sub in Roschon if you have to. So, all right. Well, that is going to wrap us up for the night, guys. Thank you all for tuning in tonight. We really appreciate it. We love to see the questions in the chat here. I'm surprised we got everything done within the hour here. I guess that means because there's 16 on by, we had more time. But Coach Tyler, is there anything you want to say before I wrap up the show tonight?
Yeah, go check out Dynasty Nerds. We talk about it every show, and it's worth talking about every show. That's how me and Coach Steve actually met. Go check out dynastynerds.com. When you get over there, use code COACH. Get access to the Dynasty GM, especially, trade deadlines coming up this week and the next couple weeks. That Dynasty GM and the trade finder and the trade calculators are fantastic. Get access to the Dynasty film room. Start looking at your 25s, especially if you're not making the playoffs in your dynasty leagues. Might be time to start grinding some film. So get into the dynasty film room, and also just check out the articles. There's some premium in there, but there's a lot free that you can check out. Coach Steve does a ton in season. I hit a lot more of the Devy in the off season, but yeah, go check out Dynasty Nerds, and thank y'all so much for tuning in.
Absolutely. And we do have a couple more questions in the chat we're going to answer real quick here from Papa P. Brooks or Jalen Warren tonight? So Jonathan Brooks or Jalen Warren tonight?
Warren, because we don't know what Brooks looks like.
Yeah, Brooks might not even play. I think they still said he might play week 12. So I would go Jalen Warren on that one. And then last one from Burner, Disley or Eckler in my flex?
I
would just put in Eckler. I just feel like they're going to run the ball a lot more.
Yeah, I'm good with
I like Disley, but I don't like Disley as a flex. I like Disley as a tight end, not a flex. I like Eckler as a better flex. He's been playing much better. So
yeah,
that's how I
I'm
see
good with Eckler.
Yeah. So, but we appreciate you guys for tuning into the Fantasy Coaches as always. Thanks, guys. If you could go check out our YouTube channel at the Fantasy Coaches, like and subscribe to our channel. We really appreciate it. We don't get paid to do this. We just do this out of the kindness of our hearts here to give great fantasy analysis here. So he said, I have Njoku, that's why, and I have buys. That's fair. That's fair. I mean, he's starting Njoku still, but yeah, Eckler in the flex is a better play. But again, check out our YouTube channel. I put a great show up for us every single week, guys. Something you can visually see as we discuss fantasy topics here each and every single week here. Again, if you're listening live on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, we appreciate you guys too. Please like and rate a review for us. We really appreciate it. We will check out everything that we get. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, X, all the cool things like that. BJ's got a question too. Look at me being so nice to everyone tonight. Sit one, PPR, Evans, Monty, Cup, or Connor? Evans.
Sit one.
Evans.
Yeah, he's coming off the injury. I feel like I'd rather play all the healthy guys.
Yeah, Monty's good. Connor's good. Cooper Kupp is a beast. Mike Evans is the guy for me. And again, guys, we'll be back Monday, giving up some more fantasy advice here. We'll probably talking fantasy playoffs. We'll probably talk waivers. We might get into some of the Thursday night games for next week because it's a short week and it's Thanksgiving week, guys. So we will be getting in as many games as we possibly can for you guys. And we'll be back sometime Friday, maybe. I don't know what our normal weekly game show is going to be yet because of the holiday weekend, but we will make sure we get 2 episodes for you guys next week. So like and subscribe, and you'll hit the notification up when we do go live. So we thank you guys all for listening, and tune in until next time, everyone, and have a great one.
Back to back is not far-fetched. We got a couple of Clark Kents. I've been feeling super duper. How the heck they know the future? Come with me, don't be a loser. Grass is green like Cooper Scoopers. Clueless analysts don't do the half of this. In fact, I'm backing this by asking.